It's a choice. We've all heard the arguments, haven't we? Two sides of a coin, flipping endlessly, trying to decide which version of being human is proper and which one is an abomination. But this isn't some abstract debate. For millions of people, this is the soundtrack to a lifelong turmoil. From childhood, they're mentally groomed to believe that if they fall into the wrong category, if they are one of those people, they're somehow less than human. They don't deserve the same rights, the same love, the same freedom. In some places, just being who you are is a death sentence. A secret that, if it ever got out, would mean you'd be executed. You'd never be allowed to live a life of freedom. You'd be damned. And when you're damned, you learn to survive among the evils. This sends so many people into a lifetime of lies. You build a fortress of cover stories brick by brick. You become a master of manipulation, not because you're a bad person, but because it's a defense mechanism. You learn to manifest a different reality, create a constant distraction from the real person hiding inside, terrified of being exposed. It's a full-time job with no days off. Can you even imagine that? Having to think in advance about every single conversation? Planning how to answer the simplest questions. What did you do this weekend? Are you seeing anyone? In a way that won't give away your truth. Living a double life every single moment of your existence. You walk down the street and see other people just being, holding hands, laughing, existing without a second thought. They get to be themselves, but you only get to be the version of yourself that society says is acceptable. You become a carefully curated performance, a hollow echo of the person you were meant to be, and that constant performance is exhausting. It eats away at your soul until there's almost nothing left. This isn't just a story, it's my story. And it's the story of so many others who feel trapped. All of the choices I did make, the lies I told, the addictions I fell into, the walls I built, they were all because of the one choice I didn't get to make. I hope by sharing this, you can start to understand the hidden world so many of us live in. I hope you can see why we turn to addiction, not as a party, but as a painkiller for the soul. And I hope you can understand with empathy why so many see suicide not as a choice, but as the only escape from a life they were never allowed to live. All because of that one single choice we never ever got to make for ourselves. Have you ever stopped to think about the real power of words? Extensive research, I'm talking numerous physiological and neurological studies, have looked into what happens when a child is told over and over that they are worthless. And the findings are, well, they're heartbreaking. This isn't just tough love or a bad mood. When an adult repeatedly tells a child they're useless, no good, or a mistake, it's a form of emotional and verbal abuse. And the science is clear, this abuse leaves deep, lasting scars. Imagine you're a child. Your entire world, your sense of safety, your understanding of who you are is built around your parents or caregivers. They are your mirror. So when that mirror constantly reflects an image of you as worthless, you start to believe it. It's not just a criticism, it becomes a core part of your identity. You internalize it as a fundamental truth. I am worthless. This isn't just a sad feeling that goes away. It fundamentally alters a child's trajectory. Studies consistently link this kind of childhood abuse to a significantly higher risk of serious mental health issues that often follow them into adulthood. It's chronic depression, where that feeling of worthlessness becomes a constant companion. We're talking about crippling anxiety disorders, even post-traumatic stress disorder. This deeply ingrained belief of being worthless can lead to self-harm, suicidal thoughts, and a desperate search for anything to numb the pain, often leading to substance abuse and addiction. This damage isn't just emotional. Chronic exposure to this kind of verbal abuse has been shown to physically alter the brain. It changes neurological pathways, the very wiring related to stress, memory, and our ability to regulate our emotions. The brain adapts to a state of constant threat and negativity. Now, let's think about this in a broader context. This isn't just about a parent losing their temper. This is about grooming a child to believe they are fundamentally flawed. Think about a child who is constantly hearing that being gay is wrong, that people like them are worthless. They might hear it at home, see it on TV, read it in books, or even hear it in places that are supposed to be safe, like school or church. This constant societal level messaging does the exact same thing. It attacks their developing sense of self. It tells them a core part of who they are is no good. And that child internalizes the message of worthlessness, leading to the same tragic outcomes: depression, anxiety, self-harm, and a lifelong struggle to feel like they even deserve to exist. Gay teen suicide. Words have the power to build a child up, to make them feel seen, loved, and valued. But they also have the power to dismantle a child's soul piece by piece, leaving wounds that can last a lifetime. Every child deserves to be told they are worthy, not for what they do, but simply for who they are. Have you ever felt like you're wearing a mask? Not just for a moment or to get through a tough meeting, but every single day. From the moment you wake up until you finally fall into an exhausted sleep, for a long time that was my entire life. When you realize you're part of the LGBTQ community, especially in a world that isn't always accepting, the choice you often feel you have to make is to hide, to deny, to build an entire life out of lies. You don't become the person you are. You become the person you think will fit the mold. There's a name for this constant grinding pressure: minority stress. And it's not just a feeling. It has real, devastating consequences. We're talking about higher rates of depression, anxiety, even suicidal thoughts. It leads people down paths of substance abuse. It creates a profound sense of social isolation. Think about it. You're constantly presenting a fake version of yourself. That creates what psychologists call cognitive dissonance. Your mind is at war with itself. You're constantly suppressing your real emotions, ruminating on every word you say, every action you take, terrified you'll give yourself away. It's impossible to concentrate. Your own sense of self-awareness just evaporates. In essence, this long-term struggle to hide and deny who I was created a state of chronic physiological stress. For me, that led straight into the arms of substance abuse and alcoholism. It was a desperate attempt to numb the constant noise in my head, the noise of self-doubt, the endless, torturous comparison of my life to the life I thought I should have. I'd constantly think, what if I had just been born different? Straight? It felt like I'd taken a wrong turn on a path I never even chose. I was him, but not me. Everyone else had a roadmap for my life. Get married, have kids, join the military. And I really tried to be that guy. But none of it was me. I was artistic. I was carefree. I was loving and sensitive and so much more. But all of that had to be locked away, suppressed until I could barely feel it anymore. I grew to honestly, truly hate being me. So drugs and booze felt like a cure. They were my escape hatch, but it's a lie. The escape never works. Because no matter how much you drink or what you take, when the chaos subsides, you're still there. I was always still me on the inside, just buried under a lot more pain. The only way out wasn't to escape myself, but to finally fight my way back to the person I was all along. For decades, I lived a life that wasn't mine. It was a carefully constructed lie, a tangled web I wove to hide who I really was. See, I was terrified of being discovered as LGBTQ+. So I did what I thought I was supposed to do. I built a fortress of normalcy around myself. I got married. I had children. I even joined the military. On the outside, I was the picture of a man who had it all together, but on the inside, I was lost, drowning in a sea of fear and secrecy. This was the 80s, and gay bashings happened a lot. People were killed for suspensions of being queer. Every single day was a performance. Every interaction was laced with the terror of being found out. The pressure was immense, unbearable. So I found a way to cope. I started to self-medicate. A drink here, a pill there, anything to numb the constant grinding guilt and silence the voice inside me that was screaming to be let out. I was addicted, ridden with guilt, and completely disconnected from the person I was supposed to be. It was a prison built of my own making, and eventually the walls started to crumble. My life spiraled downwards, fast. The only escape I could see was to run, to burn that world to the ground and finally try to become the person I was on the inside. So I walked away. I left the lie, the house, the family, and the everything. And if you think living that lie was hard, try multiplying that feeling of worthlessness by 100. That's what it felt like to step into a new world I knew nothing about. I was fighting the immense guilt of leaving, while also fighting to discover how to just be me instead of the man I had pretended to be. I went from a family man to homeless, living on the streets, completely alone. The darkness that had been inside my head was now my reality. For the next 10 years, my life was at the bottom of a bottle. Booze, pills, pain, that was my world. I was just trying to survive, trying to convince myself that I was worthy of life, worthy of happiness, worthy of maybe, just maybe, finding a partner to share my life with, to build real dreams with. I knew, somewhere deep down, that I was a normal person with normal emotions. But for so long, the only way I could access any of it was through the crutch of addiction. It was a long, brutal fight. But it was the fight to reclaim my soul. And that's a fight worth having, no matter how many scars you get along the way. For 15 long years, I lived a double life. On the one hand, I was building a stable career, pulling myself up from homelessness and life on the streets. But on the other, I was drowning in guilt and secrecy after coming out to my parents. The only way I knew how to cope was with a bottle. I was a high-functioning alcoholic, and I honestly didn't see a way out. Then David walked into my life. We met in a bar, a classic start to our story. He was this incredible spark, this sudden bright light. Being with him felt like the first real validation I'd ever had that I was worthy of love, that I deserved a real committed relationship. We were just casual, social drinkers at first, surrounded by friends, living what looked like a pretty great life. And in many ways it was. The world had changed so much since the 80s. Gay rights had leaped forward. I was no longer that kid on the streets. But even after 20 years of marriage to this wonderful man, that old familiar feeling of worthlessness never completely went away. It was a constant mental battle. The societal messages I'd absorbed since I was a child, that being gay was wrong, had left deep, lasting scars. No matter how good my life got, a part of me always struggled to believe it was truly okay to just be me. And David, he had his own struggles, his own addictions that mirrored mine. We were two halves of a whole, but we were also enabling each other's slow self-destruction. Then life as we knew it came to a screeching, terrifying halt. David was diagnosed with stage 4 liver cirrhosis. The words hit me like a physical blow. I'd had my own health scares, my own wake-up calls directly linked to my drinking, but my self-hatred was always stronger than my will to get better. I just didn't care enough about myself to stop. But this wasn't about me. This was about David. The man I loved was dying, and our shared addiction was the cause. Suddenly, something inside me shifted. Seeing him so vulnerable, so sick, it broke through all the noise of my self-loathing. My desire to care for him, to be the strong one, was more powerful than any self-destructive urge I'd ever had. That nurturing instinct, the part of me that loved him more than I hated myself, became my superpower. It was the reason I finally had to care. For him, I could walk away from the bottle. My love for him became the strength I needed to get sober and to fight for the life we had left. We are 3 years sober now, doing this together. 3 years sober, can you believe it? We started this channel as a way to share our journey, make connections with others who may be in the same situation. Maybe they have gone further than we are now and have advice to share. Or maybe we can be the inspiration to another gay couple who are thinking about taking control of their addictions and starting a new life. What we have discovered in the first 3 years of this journey is that you have to face the fears and negativity that surrounded your life. Let go of the past and set clear goals and expectations for the future, moving forward and living in the moment, instead of living as a byproduct of the past. Find the positive in your life and build your happiness around what makes you feel the most. David's cirrhosis diagnosis was the beginning of our new life. There would be no turning back. We created a bucket list of things we want to accomplish over the next few years, and we will continue to add to that list for many more to come. Never give up. Positivity is power. Change is a choice, gay is not. We, gays, were born unto this world just the same as any other human. We deserve the opportunity to live our lives as any other person. We would love to have you join our community. Subscribe and follow along with our journey. Leave a comment about where you are from, give your sober date, or just a shout out of encouragement. Thanks for watching. Dave and Mike